What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another WaterHopin episode. Before we get into today's video, if you haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on the first 1,000 and we are getting super close to it, and I'm stoked for when we cross over that first 1,000. My season wrapped up late December. I did not get out and do any January hunting this season. Essentially, we're gonna go through a few topics. So we're gonna go through my prep and summer season scouting, how my early season went, like October, how rut went, my late November, December, my late season, I guess you could say, hunting, some lessons I've learned, plans for the upcoming season, and then finally a few upgrades I plan to do coming into next season. So we're gonna talk about all that, so let's get into this, guys.
We're on a boat, we're feeling fine, drinking Tennessee whiskey, a big blue sky, we're going up, we're coming down, there's a party on the water, it's a hell of a time, we're on a boat, we're killing time, in our own honky-tonk with a bottle of wine, we're going up, we're coming down, cheers to feeling alright, it's a hell of a time.
First topic is gonna be my prep and summer scouting. We're gonna flash over some clips as I go through this, just kind of giving you guys an idea of like what I was able to capture through the self-filming and whatnot. All right, so my prep and my summer scouting. This year was definitely a year that I can honestly say I made a lot more progress than any other year. I was on deer a lot more this year than I've been in any other season, like by far. I had closer encounters. I had setups that worked the way they were supposed to. Summer scouting was definitely more involved and deliberate this year. I'd say I probably walked about 15 miles of scouting, which I plan to try and come close to doubling that between my late season scouting I'm gonna do here in a couple weeks, and then my summer scouting. We're gonna try and put in about 25 to 30 miles of summer scouting this year, if time allows. You know, we're all doing this within time slots here, guys. I'm just a weekend warrior type guy, get out when I can. This hunting property I like to go to is almost 3 hours away from here. It's quite the trip out there when I decided to go out there just for a quick day trip. I had 10 cameras out there, outside of 3 of them being stolen. Well, 2 for sure are stolen. 1 I might have just lost. I use the cameras more as inventory than anything else. I don't think I'm using these cameras enough or frequently checking them enough to really develop patterns on a buck so much. Hold on, my cat wants to get in here. It's Lily. She was just crying at the door. Due to the cameras and my summer scouting, I was able to kind of figure out what I wanted to do coming into the early season before we had even started the season. So that was nice, because for the first season ever, I kind of knew what I wanted to do before we went out and did it. Cameras taught me a lot, but honestly, it was the scouting and the walking and the checking all the trails and things like that. That ultimately proved to be what taught me the most. And honestly, what taught me more than that even was the in-season scouting. The scouting that I did when I was out there hunting. Onyx was a big part of my prep and my summer planning. E-scouting is a big thing for everybody these days. I also practiced with my tree stand and I shot my bow all year long. Like I said, Ryan and I went out for opening weekend. Basically, I have introduced him to hunting. This was his first year with a bow in his hand, tag in his pocket. The last 2 years he came with me, but he was pretty much the cameraman.
Really? Hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, well, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays from Harrison's. Let's take a look at our LDR. It's local Doppler radar for you folks at home if you're not too familiar with your top-skilling meteorological references. Stop it.
Right. You want to grab your jacket for me?
I left. Do you wonder why or how I left my boots or my poles behind?
Hey, Ryan. You get your jacket?
I gotta put my jacket on. Where is it?
Air it out?
Where is it? It's out there. I mean, I'm just fortunate that it's that stupid that it's in the door.
It really wasn't going to go anywhere, though, because it's in the door.
Yeah,
you know?
but what if I threw it like on top?
Never, obviously, forget those trips, because those were just hilarious on their own. But this was the first time he went out there with a bow in his hand, and I got to show you guys just like 45 seconds of how that went. So here's how that goes. And this is the first that he himself is holding a bow. A beautiful,
Your finest cream of the crop.
Matthews.
Atlas, baby.
Alright guys, so we are about a mile into our scouting session here, and we finally, I think, have found something that I really like the look of. If you're trying to put in the tree is a climber. We got a climber and a hang-on in this tree. I'm about 16, 17 feet. He's about 10 foot. And we're letting him shoot the first deer that comes in no matter what. It's his first ever hunt. Fuck. What'd you do?
Lessons have to be learned.
All right, Rye, 30 seconds or less. Quick summary of your first hunt ever.
Exciting, a little nerve-wracking. Good exercise, nice hike up that ascent. Doubled down and went up in the tree, went vertical. Didn't see anything. Took a little time to get that set up, but man, it felt good. Beautiful weather. Again, didn't spot anything, didn't bump anything, but it was good.
So after that, I came back 2 weeks later, mid-October. I came out there on the 15th, and strangely enough, I even saw bucks pushing deer. Like multiple times while driving or pulled over, I saw bucks pushing deer. I even got footage of one occasion where there was a buck pushing a doe about 60 yards off the road. He had her cornered into some thorn bushes and stuff. And then kind of when I parked my truck, he kind of rustled her out of there and she busted across the field and he chased right after her. I mean, right after her. I ended up having a nice doe come out in the field in front of me when I was easing my way into this different property that abuts up to this apple farm. I was kind of squeezing down the right side of that field and I ended up having a doe come trotting right out in front of me 60 yards out. Totally would have shot if it had been like a 35, 40 yard deal, but it was 60 yards and I wasn't at all prepared for that, so that didn't happen. For Saturday night that weekend, I sat literally in a field behind this grass patch. It was like it was just enough of the wispy grass and the way the sun was hitting me where I was in the shadow that it worked. I mean, I had like 5 does, if I recall, come in that night. I just didn't have them come up to me. They stuck down and kind of hugged the point, kind of like I thought they might. What are you doing, girl? You are a distraction. I'm on the ground. I'm hunting. It's November 5th. It was a terrible day. If anybody in the Midwest or Illinois was out on Friday, November 5th, you guys know what terrible day it was. Almost the whole day, gusts over 40. So, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not getting in a tree with that kind of wind. I mean, I'm easing into this power line. This big, long lane that I kind of knew would be a little unpressured just because the access to it is just a nightmare. Basically, I jumped a buck and a doe like right off the bat, right when I was coming into the area. Sure as shit, another doe busts out of there about 10 yards away, bigger doe. She goes hauling into the undergrowth and running down the lane, and then I kind of catch movement up to my left here on the top of one of these fingers. I was working down from the bench up there, and you could see tines just kind of come down. And I mean, when he came down. That deer must have been, oh, it's so hard to put numbers on it and all that fast movingness and whatnot, but that deer must have been at least a 150 or more, easily. I mean, and it looks like it's a clean, like, mainframe. I mean, I don't know. I never saw Big Jim again. That's the name I got for this buck. I got GoPro footage of him, which I probably already flashed you guys at this. Alright, so then you kind of skip ahead a couple weeks. We get towards Turkey Day. We get to late season. So we decided to do a Thanksgiving hunting trip as the second one, just to kind of take advantage of the long weekend. It was a 5-day trip, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the trip, but to be honest with you guys, this was the most bland hunting trip from a deer hunting perspective that I have probably had in a long time. I did climb more trees than I've climbed any other trip ever. I climbed a tree every single day of the trip. Now that doesn't mean I climbed every sit of the trip, because I was doing mornings and evenings just about every day. So sometimes I would go ground in the morning, tree in the evening, flip or whatever, or 2 tree or whatever. But every day I got in a tree. So I was proud of that, but I saw maybe 3 deer the whole trip. No bucks. Bucks driving around. Bucks everywhere driving around. I got lots of footage of bucks driving around. But hardly any of those bucks were on public. I had a close encounter with some does on public, but that was about it. This trip was really more about like the camaraderie, I guess you could say. We had just a blast. Like me, Josh, and Steve, we just had a blast. I mean, we were having some great cooking. We did like a steak night. We were, you know, just enjoying, telling a lot of stories. Some hunting, some just stories about life and things like that. And it was just cool for that reason. We actually all decided to not even hunt the last day because it had just been so crappy and the weather sucked, and we came up with a million excuses, but honestly we were just over it. I can't even lie, we were just over it. By that point I was just kind of beat, and I was down to have an easy day. You know, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was just down to have an easy day. Call it. We did a dayer out to that property. My buddy Ryan and I, he didn't get many chances to get out this season, but we're trying to work on that for this coming season, so stay tuned. You might be seeing more of Ryan. We went out there, it was like late December, maybe the weekend before Christmas. It's hard to say. I know it wasn't gun season, so I gotta check the calendar what the exact date we went out there was. The hunting sucked. We didn't see any deer. We saw a lot of sign from deer. We saw a lot of trails, but the cool part was we got a snow day. So he had never even done like any late season hunting, and obviously it was his first season with a bow in his hand, so in the morning, we kind of went off our separate ways, and we kind of met back up at around breakfast time. So he took a GoPro with him. I honestly haven't even looked at the footage yet, but obviously by the time you guys see it right now, you've seen the footage. So with that being said, let's show about a minute to, call it a minute of Ryan's going abouts.
Here we are. First walk in solo. First winter, snowy wintering condition. Second and last of the 2022 season. Let's do this. Well, we're gonna take a dive into this little ridge line here. This is my first little solo mini hunt for a couple hours. Still pretty slick. Ground's not frozen really yet. While we're headed out of our little reconnaissance mission here, I found some pockets of that red olive, autumn olive. I think I'm onto one decent trail. Seems like it's been used fairly recently. Found plenty of good trees. Girth-wise, and you know, just good trees to climb up. But just trying to find a good one on a trail and around some food. So I think I got an idea. See what Ryan thinks. But right now we're gonna make our way out this last little grassy hill over here just to get up on top of the ridge.
That essentially wrapped up the season, believe it or not, guys. I didn't get a chance to get out late December, and then January it just didn't fall into place. That leads me into another one. Don't overhunt an area. So I think I kind of put too many eggs in one basket on these power lines this last season. It's nice to stick with an area, but it's also like you gotta know when to say uncle and move on to something because it's just not working there. Now I think you could say that if you sat in most areas that have a lot of deer traffic, if you just sat there from start to finish for a whole season in one spot, there's probably a good chance you'll get an encounter at a deer. But that's not really like what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it more for the puzzle and for figuring things out, like in the moment, day of type situational type scenarios. That's what I really like to do, so that's why I've been moving around and bouncing as much as I have. I guess another thing I would say is number 3, planning for the tree you're gonna climb. At least 2 or 3 of my hunts this year ended up going poorly because I was either leaning forward or leaning sideways, or I didn't have shooting lanes because I didn't pay attention to how the shots were developing as I climbed the tree. So That's another one. Like, don't be committed to getting 20 foot in the tree. If you get 12 foot in the tree and your shots are right and you've got decent cover around you, that's where you need to be. You don't need to go to 20. That's just my opinion, but it seems like it's worked out where you just don't need to get 20 foot every time if you can just find the right spot in the tree. So I'm gonna pay more attention to that because I was pretty convincing myself in the beginning half of the season that I needed to be X foot high in order to have a chance. Towards the end of the season, I did one sit where I was 2.6 up. I mean, I must have been 9-10. I made some progress in my ability to like move into areas undetected, AKA that day out. I also got faster with the tree climbing. So at the beginning of the season, I was about 45 minutes on my climb time, which is crazy, but now I'm about 35. The goal is to simply get under a half hour before this coming season. I want to be able to get to 18 foot, set up with the camera arm, the GoPro on the flexible jaw clamp. Sorry, someone like just turned the amp on and you can kind of hear it, so apologies for that in the audio. I want to get faster with the camera arm. I want to get faster with the climbing sticks and setting the stand and all that jazz. I want to keep my shot consistent. So it is consistent now. I want to keep it that way, and how I'm going to do that is just keep on shooting all the way from here all the way till we're back to hunting season, guys. I mean, we're at 7 months and 3 weeks right now, so it sounds super far, but it'll be here soon. Plans for this coming season, same deal. We're going late season scouting and shed hunting here in a couple weekends, and we're gonna yank all the cameras out of there, so we might have some cool pictures, who knows. Wednesday, October 18th, we head out for the first trip this year. That's only gonna be a 4-day trip. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, come home Sunday morning bright and breezy. And then we come out for the second weekend of November for our 1 weeker. And then after that, we're just gonna, whatever we get out and do, guys. I'll probably at least do a sit or two during Thanksgiving weekend, but not Thanksgiving Day. We are doing Thanksgiving Day like a normal human being this year. And we are gonna be with family. Upgrades. So upgrades, basically, I already got one upgrade. It was just my birthday a couple days ago, so the big 29. But we got a bow spider. So essentially what this is it's like a hands-free carrying device for your bow, and you can also use it in the tree stand as the way that you hang your bow in the tree. So I was looking to get rid of my bow hanger because it's big and clunky and it uses straps. I was looking to get rid of that anyways, but now we've gone 2 for 1. I got rid of that. I think we need to test this out still. And I also got a way to be now hands-free coming in the woods, because the other thing I got for my previous birthday, I think it was a birthday, from the Darlin, is this backpack clip you use to clip in your camera. So I clip the camera into this, and then I don't have to hold the camera. You might have seen some of the hunting public guys using it, or Born and Raised. They're pretty notorious for using those. But now I got that, and now I got the bow spider. So essentially, I can clip the camera, clip the bow, hands-free. What's not great about that? The other big upgrade I'm going to be doing, I'm currently on a wait list for, it's the transfer pack by First Light. It's currently sold out, but it's basically like a self-filming run and gun, perfect public land type backpack. It's got a bunch of features that are awesome for it. I'm actually going to do a video right after this one, going over the unboxing of the bow spider, my first impressions of it, and what I plan to use it for. And then I'm also going to do an unboxing video for transfer pack when I get that. I also just got a fishing pole and reel for my birthday, and fishing season's coming back here real soon, guys, so we are getting excited for that. I got the poles, maybe you can see them stacked up right there, getting ready to yank the old fishing line off of them and clean up these reels and spool up some new line on here so we can get ready for fishing to hopefully be here maybe 5 weeks, guys. I mean, it might only be 5 weeks till we are back in the kayak. And until then, I'm just going to do a couple unboxing videos. I hope you guys had a great hunting season. I hope you did better than I did and you guys were able to tag out. I personally still had an amazing hunting season regardless of getting a deer or not. I learned a lot. I'm ready to come after it hot and heavy for this coming season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us hit 1,000, tell a friend, and yeah, keep water hopping. And I'll see you soon. See her? She's ridiculous. Thanks for watching, folks.